Okay, we have four people watching right now, and I believe we're live. So, hi everyone, welcome to another AMA with Design Buddies and Co-Create. And we skipped last week because there was something happened, but I deal with it. Now we're coming back to it. As people are dropping in, I just want to inform that today we're going to be having a really casual fireside chat with our designers who work with Co-Create Cohort 20. And the cohort link is now live. And if you're looking for your next internship and need some guidance and don't want to spend like crazy amount of money on like a master's or a boot camp, go ahead and sign up and apply to the program. You're going to get interviewed and work with really hot startups. But yeah, that's just like one mini announcement. We're gonna have like a little bit more information on upcoming events by Design Buddies in real life. And yeah, so let me keep navigating to the slides and we'll proceed with the topics today. So agenda today is we're gonna have a mini like icebreaker type in the chat. Feel free to like drop your location where you're tuning in from, and like I would say, so how did you become a designer? I guess. And then we'll introduce ourselves as the host today. And then I'm going to interview our guest a set of questions. And then we're going to have a Q&A about design and career in design. So hi, Adama. I think in the chat we have one audience who dropped in hello. So homies, drop in the chat. Maybe your location and how long have you designed for, or yeah, like when did you start your design journey? I hope my audio is not too loud. I'm currently tuning in from a cafe. Yeah. So we can start with like self introductions about what we do as the host. So hi, I'm Lynn, and I was an alumni at Cohort 19, a program by Design Buddies, Co-Create and UX Go, where I get to work with a health AI startup called SoSci AI based in Mountain View. And so there I learned a lot about like UX design for healthcare and sort of grow into the sector of social good. So I think I'll popcorn it over to Sebastian to introduce himself, and then Karen. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so my name is Sebastian. I am a cohort 20 alumni. I specifically was working on the Ion team. They are a AI powered design tool helping to push changes onto live products and in their code bases. It was a lot of fun. It was the first time really working in an AI type product, and it really showed me what it was like to kind of be in a startup space. Popcorn to Kieran.
Hi, I'm Kieran. I was a part of the Talofa Games team working on Monster Walk, which is um, it's like a health gamified health app. So yeah, and it was my first time working with like a startup team, so it was a really cool like hands-on experience, getting to design for, yeah, startup team.
Got you. Okay, we're gonna have some questions related to like your experience as a designer and also like related to your startup experience. So we'll take it slow. Okay, we have Nigeria audience. We have New Yorkers. Okay, very diverse. And Lydia, I love to see this. Okay, Fire Energy, Houston, Texas. Okay, can you guys see like the comments in the StreamYard? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You guys feel free to like drop any comments, chat with the people. Okay, let's navigate to the next slide. This is a PR post for both Sebastian and Karen. So, Big Design Energy is Cohort 20 Demo Day live in San Francisco. We also have a virtual live stream as well. So, if you guys are in SF Bay Area and really want to find an event to tune in for Tech Week, come to SF and see Sebastian and Karen talk about their startup work with Ion Design and Talofa Games. So last week, Esther was also a teammate of Sebastian in Ion, but I don't think like Karen is new here and for Talofa Games. So yeah, come by RSVP on our Luma link in any of the Design Buddies posts that you see. We'll definitely have these links. So yeah, very excited for this event. Okay, this is a very housekeeping thing, but essentially today, like I said, very casual chat. If you really want to learn design and want to get started, Sebastian and Kieran can offer a lot of like tips and insights into their own journey and sort of give you a pretty cute like roadmap starting point on how you can approach design nowadays. If you're interested in landing a competitive tech role and like design your first portfolio to achieve that, and if you actually want to learn Figma, so we design Figma for our cohort team. So that's like that starting point to kind of set our heads towards. So yeah, grab a drink, your notebook, or like just co-work alongside with us as we listen to this conversation. I believe a lot of people are gonna benefit from this. And if you cannot make it to the live, this will definitely be archived on Design Buddies YouTube channel. So yeah, you can always come back. Um, yeah, look at it. Okay, so let's proceed with our questions time. Okay, so any one of you can choose to answer first. But question one is, why did you choose design, and what was your journey to design look like?
I can go first. All right, so let me just start off with this quote. I think this really kind of describes my mindset when it comes to design. A jack of all trades is a master of none, but sometimes better than a master of one. And I think as I explain kind of my journey into design, you'll kind of see um, why that quote resonates with me a lot. So my journey itself is really interesting. I actually originally was a computer engineer in college, and I was always into STEM, CS, and big tech things throughout primary school and middle school. Middle school, I was actually more of an art student and musician. I did orchestra and was in art shows. But at least in my high school, when it started, I really just ended up focused on STEM and engineering and science research stuff. My school kind of pushed that, so I kind of just chose that because that was kind of the most logical, safe path. But like going into college and realizing what computer engineering was, I realized that I was mostly spending a lot of my time thinking about how people interacted with stuff and how stuff looked. And I was kind of attracted towards that. I had a friend who was in the major I switched to, new media design, which was a multidisciplinary design major, and I kind of just fell in love with the idea of UX, UI, product design. Um, it was a really big decision to switch majors halfway through because that major, how it set up was essentially I had to complete it in 4 years. Like I couldn't do it in less because of how courses were structured. So I was essentially restarting college halfway through, which was really daunting because although I had drawn when I was younger and stuff, it hadn't been since like eighth, seventh grade since I've done that, and I never really had any knowledge about design. But with that major, it gave me a strong foundation in everything design wise. I fell in love with it because I was able to do one semester, sketchboarding for an app. Another semester, I was doing 3D graphics. It's really multidisciplinary, so I was able to do a lot of different stuff, blending art and tech. And I was, like I said, I fell in love with the UX product stuff. And I don't know, something about complexity of breaking down problems and then also thinking about stuff systematically while still being creative just really spoke to me. Yeah, and I mean, now I've had experience working in a startup, experience doing some game design stuff, working for not for profits, open source stuff, kind of all over the place. I have a marketing background with a minor in fellowship, technical background. Then that's kind of why that quote resonates with me. I've kind of done a bit of everything, and I never feel like I'm just doing it to do it. Have a strong interest in learning those things and kind of building my own path forward.
Cool. Kieran's turn.
Yeah, I guess like I would say I started my journey back in high school actually, where I got to take like a graphic design class that was offered as an elective, and it like kind of blew my mind. I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's other things other than traditional art. That's insane." And so I pursued graphic design in college, and I feel like my journey with specifically ending up in like product design or UI UX design was a little bit like non-linear because through my graphic design program, I had to explore like all sorts of design, whether it's web-based or physical, actual print. And so I think I kind of left college in this weird state of I have so much knowledge and all these different things. What should I do with it? And how do I build my portfolio from here? So after like leaving college, I've been kind of focusing in on product design specifically and trying to build my portfolio to gear towards that. Since my portfolio coming out of college was so all over the place. But yeah, so my journey is definitely pretty design focused, but I still definitely had a lot to learn.
I see. Got you. Okay, let's move on to the next question. When was the first time you guys used Figma? Wait, it's like
I can go
5 minutes.
I
Okay, yeah, go.
Um,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, so the first time I actually used Figma was in college, and I opened it up for like a few minutes and then closed it because since I switched majors, everyone I felt like I was catching up because everyone had done graphic design in my major in high school, so they knew all like the Adobe products like video editing, motion graphics, like at least the fundamentals. So I was catching up just to learn these tools, and I went into Figma just to be curious because a lot of the upperclassmen had said that they think they'd be using it more often as the years come by. And I looked in and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, so I closed it because it was just too daunting, and I was still just learning general design tools. But yeah, eventually I did end up using it, and I used it a lot for a lot of my projects and a lot of my work experience. But yeah, it was kind of scary going into it because it was something I'd never heard of until college, until working with people in design. So it was kind of daunting. Plus, I was trying to catch up, figuring out just design stuff in general.
I think Amir says something. I used Figma in college to create a basic idea of what we want our app to look like. Yeah, I did like a website design project, and end up we use Figma. Even though I would say like, yeah, it's just like now it's like the go-to household name for like design apps, designing any products. Yeah, already. Yeah, just a note. But is it Kieran's turn or does Sebastian still have stuff to say?
Oh no, I that was pretty much everything I had. So,
Okay,
yeah.
I'll card over then.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I still like vividly remember it was 2022 and I was in my UI UX design class and like first time entering this class and like the professor tells us that we're going to have to use Figma throughout the semester and then he also tells us that he's never used Figma before, so he's also learning with us. Yeah, that class was pretty insane, but I feel like because the professor didn't know how to use Figma, I had to like really force myself to learn it to pass the class. But yeah, it was a very interesting first time. I felt very lost because I'd been so a part of like the Adobe infrastructure of softwares that like leaving that and coming to something completely new was pretty like shocking.
What did you guys create that first time? Like, I would say the first time your mouse cursor kind of moved in Figma. Do you remember what you create?
Shapes.
What was it for?
It was literally just shapes. That's it. And like a thing of frame. Like the very first time. I think it's like the second time I ever got into it. I think I was creating like some like landing page. like just to like practice.
I think in order for me to know this, I have to go back to my Figma like recent history and check what was like the first project I ever created. Wow, it was a while ago. Yeah, definitely fun, interesting. Okay, let's move on to another question. From that first step, how did you guys improve your fitness skill?
I can go first. I feel like I did a lot of learning by doing, um, and it's kind of become my go-to way to learn a new software in general, but I would come up with ideas of what I wanted to create in Figma, and I just started creating. Like, I would just go into the software and start working, and as soon as I hit a roadblock, I'd start Googling, like, how to do this. So, like, I remember, like, I got to learn so many things because, like, Figma is, to a very large extent, a free software, and because of that, there's so many resources online by other people of how to do things. So you can probably find, for the most part, a tutorial of someone doing exactly what you want to make in Figma. And I think that is what really helped me get through like the initial like learning curve of Figma. And I feel like just like constantly like making projects like really pushed me to learn things that I wouldn't have thought of otherwise. Like I remember like I was like working on a thing and then I was like, "Oh, wait, I don't know how to create a drop-down menu. How do I even do that?" And then I just like Googled a quick tutorial and, 30 minutes later, bam, I have a drop-down menu. Like it was that's definitely been the way that I've improved my Figma skills.
Okay, Sebastian, it's your turn.
Yeah. So sorry. I have a very similar answer. Learning by doing. I feel like that's really just the best way for a lot of things. In Figma, especially when I was learning how to do stuff. I have a lot of ideas and stuff. And I think the best thing is you if you have big ideas and these big expansive things you want to do, even though at the end you might not get to accomplish the scope of your idea, go in and just try and do it, right? Try and go through and figure out stuff you have no idea what to do. Fail at like trying to make these big ideas happen, right? Because even though you might fail, um, you'll have so many things that you've learned through that path that you wouldn't have had anymore. And I think you can go back and reflect at where you struggled, where you had difficulty doing certain things. And I think really that's what helped me improve my Figma skills was not being afraid to just try and do an idea, regardless of my ability at the time or like how feasible it was. Right? If I had some crazy idea, like I love prototyping stuff, and I think part of it comes from being very technical. So I would always try to prototype stuff as well as possible in Figma, and I failed a lot in the beginning. I had god awful prototypes with like god awful animations and transitions, but eventually stuff started clicking. These big ideas that ended up not happening started to happen. I was able to create prototypes that were pretty well done.
Okay, let me start a community fig jam right here and right now, like you guys know. So for the but I would say a follow up to how you guys learn it is to basically go into tutorial lands and copy it down. How would now that we have like AI and a lot of help with like design automations and stuff, would you guys have changed anything about how you guys learn it?
I don't think
Like at the
so.
moment, like now, when you guys want to like improve your design, like did it change a lot of your workflow?
Like the AI, like
AI.
integrating AI. I think it speeds parts up. Um, I think as creatives, and like critical thinkers, you can get like mental blocks. And then sometimes I don't know. I have a short attention span, and I can get mental blocks, and it just I'm sitting there staring at nothing, doing absolutely nothing. I think sometimes just having that AI there to kind of just I don't know start the creative juices going. helps because there's definitely been times in the past where wasted time just like meandering around in my thoughts, like really not accomplishing anything just because I couldn't figure out where to start or really what to do. But I think having the AI there as not something that's doing the stuff for you, but it's just helping you get through the process itself is really good.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've definitely been able to integrate AI into my like system and my process a lot more than when I initially started doing all this. Um, but I feel like I still base a lot of my inspiration in like what other humans are creating, and try to like use AI to help me come up with new ideas or like generate ideas that kind of combine what exists out there. Um, I actually wanted to say that I totally agree with what Amir said in the chat, where copying existing UIs is really helpful for like learning all the things that go into a like interface. That was like something I did a lot early on, where it's like I would just like find apps that I really enjoy and copy them, and then I actually would take it a step further and I would like be like, how can I redesign this app to be like something that I enjoy? And it really like pushed me to like come up with new ideas. Um, and it really like helps formulate your like ideation brain too. So I think that's like a really fun exercise to do. And like things like AI can definitely help with pushing your brain further. Um, when it comes to like ideation and just coming up with things to create, you know? So, yeah.
ChatGPT is a godsend. How do you guys? Okay, in the community chat, do you guys have any like ChatGPT hack to actually like improve design?
Yeah, so I would for this. I think this also comes back to having a strong down design foundation, right? Like having the fundamentals down, right? If you're designing something, you know some things are off, right? I would do give it steps about like what skills you want to improve and what specifically you think that design is struggling. Give it context, but also give it focused scope. And I think doing that kind of gives you like a higher quality output. It really struggles when you just like give it like large like text prompts and stuff, and they're not clearly structured, and just kind of sometimes like it could give you just like random stuff, but keep it focused and structured and like really know what you're looking for in the outcome. Because if you don't know, then ChatGPT is not gonna know either.
So in a way, would you say like prompting is one of like the best skill you can have now?
Yeah,
To
I think figuring out how to prompt for different workflows, right? Like prompt for design. Like if you like you're gonna prompt differently when it is for design, like back end, front end stuff, right? Maybe you're doing science research heavy stuff, but people who specialize in those fields, um, if they're like I know there's like tips and stuff on like prompting, but you kind of want to mix the both, right? Because it's gonna be different for like what you're using it for.
let's move on to the next question.
Wait, I just want to say really quick, Mobbin is a really great resource.
How do you guys use Mobbin to improve your design, like workflow?
I've used it to look at stuff. I think it's a lot quicker when you know what you're looking for. Instead of just like going all over the place, you have like a collection of stuff there.
Yeah, kind of like what Jeff mentioned in the chat, I do really use it as like a resource to practice with other existing app interfaces. So it's a really helpful resource in that sense.
Yeah, like earlier on, say when you guys first use like Mobbins, is it more like, oh, I'll paste the interface in my like mood board to get inspiration, or you guys would more so go kind of pixel by pixel and follow through what they design?
I think I use it more for high level things, right? There's so many different interfaces. There's phones, smartwatches, and stuff like that, and there's so many pre-existing design patterns and variations for those. I would do it more for a high level to see based off like my scope and what I'm doing for a project, kind of look at what's there and kind of just build off of that because it's sometimes you are going to reinvent the wheel, but there's other times, the whole saying, if it's broke, don't fix it. Like there's just patterns because that's what works best. But you kind of need to figure out that yourself sometimes.
I think like the biggest thing for me is I do this exercise with myself. Like I try to do it as often as possible, but where I just find an interface, like usually before I was just kind of like using existing apps that I have, but like I do use Mobbin to like take existing interfaces and I do this thing like in Figma where I just break down the UI to the like like the craziest detail that I can. Just to like get my brain to like understand how like what is put together, what is made, and like what icons are used, what like where things are placed, how big like text is in certain areas, and like just the spacing of text too. And like it's like a great exercise that I do just to like keep my like brain sharp, I guess, in the sense of UI. So that is something that I really enjoy doing.
I personally do use like Mobbins and like copy the interface to understand how like layout grid actually works for existing apps or how they would kind of like section items because there are design patterns that always recur in these existing apps. So definitely that's a good exercise to do. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so should we move on to the next question? This is your time to flex something that you have created. So, question four: what was your favorite or like first product design project that you did?
I have kind of two, right? I would say more recently it was Ion because that's just really like cutting edge stuff. But you guys are gonna hear more about that later at Tech Week, and Esther has talked about it last week too. I'm gonna go with my capstone from college. It was a 3D Argo puzzle called 3D Project Gardens.
Do you want to walk us through it? Share your screen and like walk us through it.
Let me look if I can find the thing there. Actually, let me let me actually go on the website. That might be better.
Oh wait. If it's on the website, I can just literally, yeah,
Yes,
show it myself here.
I can give you a link. It's
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
a game.
You can drop in the private chat inside the StreamYard.
Yeah, so if you go on there, it'll 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 kind of go through the game itself. So it was a puzzle game. Um, it was our capstone. We ended up not being able to have developers from our sister major, so it was just
Wait.
designers.
Let me share it. Let me share it first. Uh, Stop screen. Let me reshare the screen. Okay, can you see it? Okay, take it over, Sebastian.
Yeah, so uh, it was we were given the prompt community, and that's what our major always does for a capstone. It's like a one word thing, super ambiguous. Usually, it's with the hopes of you creating some sort of actual thing that people can actually interact with or play with, right? Past years has been stuff that's been like an interactive exhibit, right? With like maybe Arduinos or stuff like that, pressure sensitive stuff. We ended up making an open source game. I ended up being the developer, the 3D designer, and then also essentially the UX designer because I was the developer. So I would take whatever a UI artist did, right, and I would develop it, have to test it with like other classmates and stuff with them. Um, I on the same times I had to do all the 3D stuff. There was 3D plants, anything 3D in the game I had to model from scratch, uh, do all the motion design for it, figure out how to import it into the game itself, all this other stuff, right? And we also had someone who was doing all the 2D graphic stuff, that's not UI specific, and all the marketing materials. So I had to bring their asset stuff into the game too. So it it was really challenging, and it was really time consuming, but it was worth it because just like how in a startup you might be doing a lot of different stuff and it was fast moving, it showed me how to plan effectively my different roles within a team and how those things connect, right? And how I need to make sure I can have certain things done for the person to continue with their work. And I don't know, it made me fall in love with the idea of being a designer on a team that had different roles and just uh, giving in my all. And I kind of just fed into my whole thing of like wanting to be someone who does all sorts of different things. And it showed me that type of workflow was really something that like is something that I love and would enjoy a lot more, as opposed to like being locked into or like pigeonholed into like a big tech company where you're working on a specific feature on a specific part of like an app and stuff like that. So that one's my favorite because it really let me like shine in all the aspects that I love. And then I also had people play it, right. It was shown in a basically like a capstone exhibition thing throughout the whole campus that all the majors do. People were all over Rochester played it and stuff. We won an award on the in the festival itself. We won a runner up award for Mode Fest. So it was a big deal for me because it is hard to get experience. And although this was a school project, it was an actual thing that people got to do, and it just made me super happy to like see people play with it. People talk to me, and I had a lot of children too. They wanted to talk to me about the design, about the oven behind it, and it was fun to like get people interested in things that I love and something that I was passionate about.
I see. Follow question from there is that how different is the Ion projects from Project Gardens?
Yeah, so I think it differs in that like the interactions here are, I want to say, a little bit more basic in Project Gardens. Really, the goal is to have fun. It's a game. I think the big things that sell it are the assets and the visuals of it, right? It's the interaction and the puzzle stuff wasn't like the craziest thing to come up with. That was it took us maybe a week to kind of pinpoint what puzzles we wanted to do. And obviously there was a bit more testing with figuring out moving the puzzles and things like that within the game. So like we weren't necessarily like solving anything, but in Ion, you're you're solving like real issues that affect businesses, affect people who work in tech and stuff like that. So I think parts of it there's like more high stakes to it. There's I think there's more real problems that people are dealing with, and it's a actual company, right? So I think that's where it differentiates. This was kind of just focused more on being fun, um, and creative with fun interaction. The other one has just a lot more things revolving around in the business, the users, the problems in the space, AI being a new thing, right? Uh, it's a really recent thing to design for AI, and the UX behind it. All those interfaces are still, I feel like, fairly new, and I don't think we've really gotten down to like some clear cut patterns for AI right now. So that was a big thing too. It's just kind of like navigating through that.
How about Kieran's? What is like your favorite project?
Um, I'm gonna be a little biased and say that the project I worked on with Talofa Games for Monster Walk, I don't want to get too into it because we will explain more at demo day, but I think like I think before that I hadn't really done anything serious within product design specifically. I'd done like exercises and classes and stuff. But that was like the first time I got to work on like a real product design project. And it was it was definitely a really fun experience. I think because the Monster Walk team already had like a whole set of assets for us to use and like a whole branding scheme, we had to like essentially
Hold up.
work
I think
within that.
I have access to a file. Let me share screen with
Okay,
it too. I can share like a research file.
okay. Oh no.
You can keep talking about it. I'm just gonna share
Okay,
screen
okay.
now.
Cool. But yeah, it was like our team had to like work within these specific constraints of like it was really cool that we were given a whole like branding scheme and a whole like set of UI assets to work with. But at the same time, it also kind of limited us in a way where it's like we had to work within these existing constraints to create something completely new. Um, but we did get a chance to create our own UI interface based on what they already have. And we did a lot of ideation processing. Like it was a lot of ideation and user testing to figure out what would work and what we can create that wouldn't break their in-game systems that already exist. And also a lot of stuff where we had to like work within like certain launch timeframes and stuff. So it was definitely a really interesting experience to like get to do. Um, I think like the biggest part that I really enjoyed from that was having to like come up with the most creative ideas possible within all these constraints because we had a lot of constraints to work with. So yeah, I would say that I would say Monster Walk was my favorite product design project. But I do have some projects that I'm working on currently that aren't done or aren't out yet.
Okay, can we have like a mini TLDR of what it could be? Like one liner.
Yeah. Okay. It's a it's a website for that's like a story archive, so it acts as like an existing like an archive of stories from people in the Bay Area. And it's like an ever-growing archive. That's what I'm
Hey,
working on
that's
right
so
now.
cute. Please
Yeah.
launch it on LinkedIn whenever you finish. Yeah, you can even launch it on demo day too. Okay, let's move on to the next question. You guys see it? Quite a hard learn in your designing.
I can go. So kind of two core things that were hard lessons was managing scope and managing focus. This was something I had struggled a lot in the beginning of my design journey. I talked about letting your big ideas, trying them out, but that could also be your downfall, right? Maybe not so much if it's like a personal project, right? But like if it was a school project or working at a company, right? You gotta be able to be realistic with your time and your scope. Um, it's better to have things that are completed and functional than something that's half baked but large in scope. And then another stuff is focusing, right? Um, like UI is important and like having strong, clean visuals are really important, but the more important is having it, like I said, being functional, right? Sometimes, like early in my journey, I would lose focus on like doing like little like getting the exact right color or like the exact right space for something really small, or like a small like micro animation, and those things end up you don't sometimes you don't realizing you can be doing them for hours, and that takes up so much of your time. So I think those were some of the biggest hard lessons learned, was that um, trying to figure out what the scope of your project is and your time constraints, and like skimming it down to something that you know you can complete within that time frame, and uh, being focused with going through that project, and going through each step, and being intentional with what you're doing, with what you're designing, right? Like have a roadmap, have something you're trying to achieve as you're designing. Just like don't like be scattered brain, which is something I can be a lot. Just like really try to be focused. And you'll, even though you want to do these crazy things, being like that, you might end up realizing that you get more time at the end, and that's where you can kind of just building onto things. Like you've heard the word like MVP, most viable product. Like really, like even for projects, like what is your MVP? Like focus on doing that for school projects, for personal projects. Get the core thing done first, right? Don't forget about the big idea. Keep it in your back of your mind. But focus on getting that MVP done and having it strong. Create the foundation first, and then keep going.
That's a great lesson. Okay, Karen.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually touch on a little bit more of like an emotional side of things. I think something I definitely struggled with at different points throughout my design journey has been imposter syndrome, and just feeling like I'm in a space where I don't know if what I'm saying is like is valid, is right, you know? Like I tend to doubt myself and second guess things a lot. But I think something that I've learned that has helped me grow in my own confidence, is that when you're working in a team, like specifically a design team, like every single person's experiences up until that point are valid, and every single person's experiences will contribute something. And your own personal experiences and things that you've gone through and things that you've made and you've done and you've learned are so essential to contributing to a team, especially when everyone in the team has different backgrounds and everyone brings different ideas to the table. And I think I think that's like a really important thing because especially when you're like new to something, or trying to transition over or like trying to like, break into a new space, it can be really easy to like get in your head about that. But I think like being confident in like your knowledge and what you bring to the table is like that is the confidence that will carry you through. Yeah, I will end it at that.
Cool. Okay, Amir also has another contribution. If you're stuck and have brain fog, just draw on a piece of paper. Even if it's a small idea, get something down. I personally have a book or like a journal, which I call an ideas journal, and I just literally jot down whatever ideas I have in mind to say like today I just like workshop with like one of my friends who is also a designer on like the upcoming Figma and Contra hackathon. I think it's already happening, but you basically use Figma Make to create like a really cool hackathon ideas and get it to like get you some prize. So like I would just like pull some ideas out of my journal book, and yeah, it's just like have a place to let yourself like creatively express yourself and archive your brain. And I think that's going to be a great way for you to like, yeah, someday these ideas will be useful. So yeah, I think I do resonate with that a lot here. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, okay. So let's see. We have a next question. Honestly, I think the rest of like have been answered before, so we skip to question 8. Some tips and resources to break into design in 2025, or like say if you guys were to start over again, given the current resources, how would you guys go about improving your design journey?
I think I would focus on doing, obviously, like there's paid stuff and non-paid stuff, right? But I think make sure you're, like I've said in the past, make sure your fundamentals are strong, right? uh, do whatever resources, courses, and stuff that you can use to have strong fundamentals in general design, UX, UI, and then uh, I know like stuff like this, like co-create and like the whole things working with startups, like stuff like that is tremendous help, right? Getting to work on a startup that's has a product out and having your design work actually out there in the open is a big deal, and that's I think that really gives you a leg up, right? Especially with startups where they're doing. I think startups is where like really creative stuff is happening in tech. But outside of that, I think I know there's like a contentions about like unpaid internships and stuff like that, but um, there's a lot of non for profits. I've done non for profit work. There's stuff like Develop for Good. Local ones, stuff online. I think that's a good way, right? Because you're not, it's not a non-paid internship, right? Like it's technically volunteer work, but there's a lot of not-for-profit stuff that are tech-based now, right? Like there's a lot of open source things, and those communities are thriving and big, and they need a lot of like help with design work, with back end work, and going through those programs as well, right? Because you get to be on a team. Like I think that's one of the biggest challenges is getting to work on a team, because that's in the real world that's what you're going to be doing. Either if it's a small team, a large team, it doesn't matter. You need to figure out how to collaborate with different types of designers, different types of engineers, PMs, like all sorts of people, marketing, like whatever it is. And these non for profits, like that's a really, I think, really smart way to do it, right? Because they also kind of act like a client in many aspects. So stuff like that, just look for things, even like hackathon things where you can collaborate and be with a team and get feedback from each other and work with people that aren't just designers as well. I think that's my biggest resource, right? Look for those opportunities where you get to work on actual stuff and work on a team.
Yeah, I totally agree with all of that. I will also say that I think like fully immersing yourself in the design world is really important. Um, I think like keeping up to date with the, hot new products, keeping up to date with any design trends that are happening, keeping up to date with just like what companies are pushing out and what companies are cropping up. I think that's extremely important knowledge to have, staying up to date. Um, if you can afford it, if you can find a way into it, like conferences are amazing for that. I think, and in a way, if you get to attend in person, you can also network with people. And I think networking with people and creating yourself a community of people that also do design is really important. And in a way, sometimes that can also lead to like creating teams of people that want to work on projects. Um, yeah, I think staying like immersing yourself fully in the design world is so important to like getting a job in the design world. Um, yeah.
I think also to add on to that, I think a lot of people have seen like either startups are working in stealth or they work in public, right? Design in public, right? Like don't just like lock yourself away in your room and like just work in your file, like whatever that might be for you, whether it's posting it publicly, finding communities to share stuff, right? Design in public, constantly have eyes on it, and get that feedback. I think that's really also a big thing because you only have your perspective until you kind of share it with other people, and you can only make assumptions about what other people might think, but until you actually get eyes on your stuff, it's just like what ifs in your head.
Yeah, honestly, to add even more onto that, like if you can't get out, like if you're like too scared to post on like social media and stuff like that, Discord servers are really great to like meet people who are like-minded. Design Buddies is a great server for that, and there's so many others out there that you can network with people through Discord to like help you out. And it's just like there's so many resources out there to meet people who want to help you. Um, yeah, I think there's it's the best thing to do, just meeting people.
Would you guys say like doing a real internship, or like out of like all like the tips and say how to learn design stuff, what would you guys say is like the most important kind of stepping decisions that actually help you guys actually improve it?
Real experience. I think whether that's an internship or some sort of work with an actual company, I think the real experience working in a company, especially if you can get it as close as possible to what you're looking to work in, right? That there's a lot of stuff outside of design that you're not accounting for, right? Like we're doing product design, right? So we are heavily designing, but there's the aspect of like the users, there's like business goal, business strategy, like product strategy, right? Like we might not there's other people on the team that deal with all that stuff as well, but part of the role product designers keeping account of those things as you're designing and as you're being part of a team, right? You're not just designing in a vacuum. You're on a team, and all these other stuff affects design, right? Like I know a lot of people might just want to design this perfect thing for the user, but there's so many other variables and stuff, and you don't really realize until you actually go through it.
Definitely agree with that. Yeah. Um, all right. Any last minute tips, tricks, resources that we want to share with the audience?
I love going on YouTube. Go on YouTube for tutorials a lot. Uh, I'm a visual learner, and I don't like looking at static images and stuff. I like to fast forward.
Mm,
So that's look for video tutorials and things like that. And have fun going through that, or really anything that's uh, a video based format, especially for design. Uh, that's really useful because even going through like a design tool like Figma, it's much more clear happen to creating certain things as opposed to like just like a block.
do you guys follow like a design routine? Like, do you guys set like out, okay, this time of day, I'm going to learn design? Or just honestly, it's based on current projects you guys are doing and you really grind all day on it?
I'm always thinking about design, but usually in the afternoons, I set a time to work on my design specific stuff. Uh, I like to I like to have like large blocks, right? So the days where I have larger blocks is where I really focus on getting like big chunks. And maybe days where I don't have as much time might be for more like playing around and exploring and like messing with stuff. Whatever new tools that might be out, some random skill, because those things don't necessarily need to take up as much time, and it also helps me focus and not get distracted on just like playing around with random stuff all the time.
Yeah, I feel like even if I'm not creating anything, I'm still like somehow in the design world. Like sometimes I feel like I've gone insane, but I'm like out here reading books on design. I listen to like podcasts on design. UI Breakfast is a really fun podcast, fun fact. And I'm watching like YouTube videos on design. Like I'm just like filling my brain with design even if I'm not actually actively designing. So I think just like, you know, filling your time with things that are related, even if it's not actually actively designing, is something that I've started like integrating into my daily routine. Yeah. Also, one extra tip that I want to say, study typography. I feel like it's a dying dying skill in design in the design world, and it's so useful to have. Yeah, study typography.
Yeah, I second that. My college professors drilled into being strong with type. You can communicate a lot with type, and I think that's probably one of the biggest things I see when stuff's wrong is their typography is off, their hierarchy and type is off, and that makes a world of a difference.
There's a really good course on Coursera that CalArts actually has on typography. I highly recommend it. It is really good to get like the beginner understanding of typography.
Yeah, I know there's some games that actually help people kind of improve
Mhm.
some like UX skills, the UI skill. I think typography is like a big thing. And honestly, I wish I actually like started out with a much stronger foundations in typography because now like I'm struggling to even pick a font for my portfolio. And font speaks so much volume into the personality of the product and also the personality of the portfolio website. So definitely I would say also I know like Elizabeth Ling. This is like literally pro bono promotion for her. I love her content. And she's like a big on visual design and especially like typography. So yeah, like Karen, if you drop that link to like the Cal Arts course, I would love to check it out
Yeah,
too.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah. And also honestly show up every single day. I think Jeff is pretty. I would say like I have an adjacent idea to that. Um, just to maybe expose yourself to design every single day, sharpen that muscle, and which is always good. Karen do it by listening to podcasts. I honestly do it by committing myself to several like design challenges and get someone who can keep me accountable. So I think that's how I kind of like get back into design and do it after like taking a break from school or something. So yeah, I think this is the we're at the end of like all the questions. If the audience don't have any questions, we'll end the stream in like literally 2 minutes. But thank you so much, Sebastian and Kieran, for joining the live today. And yeah, we did have like around 20-ish audience and also really engaged audience this time. I'm really happy. And if you are in SF, please come to Tech Week and see what Sebastian's and Kieran's created. Sebastian's built like I was like an AI design kind of assistant in a way.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and then Kieran designed a non-AI product, but you will use it to like walk and like maintain your fitness level
it's really fun.
to crack startup. Yeah, I'm sitting here with Christine right now, your teammate. Yeah, she won't see you. Yeah, she say
Oh,
hi. She won't see you. Yeah. Um, but yeah, that's it. Miss Go is a good resource, I would say. Um, like really veteran designer, really crack tips. Um, do you guys have like do you guys read about design? Just a casual question. Do you guys read like books?
I didn't read books, but I was going a lot on Twitter, um, and following people who were in the design world. I don't. It's not called Twitter anymore. This is called X. Um, I forget the guy's name, but he was the co-founder of an AI product that Figma bought like 2 years ago. And he was from an engineering background and got really into design and stuff. But people like
Interesting.
that If you're interested in like design and forward-thinking tech stuff, right? And newer technologies, I think a lot of times it's like reading their thoughts and stuff on Twitter, or a lot of them might have blog posts and stuff like that. So I think things like that are really good to go through.
Okay. Yeah. Karen, any last minute tip? Like the book part? I would
This is so
recommend
random.
it.
I've been reading this book. It's oh my gosh, it's blurred out, but it's called Design History, Theory, and Practice of Product Design. It's like more about like the physical product design, but I think there are still some really important like lessons and concepts in here that I'm really enjoying. I'm like halfway through it right now. I really recommend.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay, I see the course. Oh my god. Gotta check it out later. But I think thank you everyone for joining the live today. I think we're at time and see you guys next week for another AMA. Yeah. Okay, I'm ending the stream now.